All right, I think we are on the go. Let me just refresh over here. Yes, we are running. We are live. Hello, hello, Jen Tiller. Great to have you here, the breathing coach. And it's wonderful to be able to share time with you.
It is always a joy to spend time with you, Sigrid. It's been lovely to connect over the last few months. Yeah.
And isn't it great that you can be connecting over the whole world, really, in a way, because you are on the other side of the world to where I am right now.
Yeah, even though I came originally from Australia, yes, it's thousands of miles, but it is, yeah, crazy.
That's a bit of a funny thing, isn't it? Well, let me start by introducing you a little bit more, and then you can give us more information as you give us an insight into breath and breathing. So Jen has been she's been around having issues of her own around breathing, different things that have led her over quite some time in her life to explore what's behind it, to find solutions, to become healthy and well. Jen has done loads and loads of various modalities in her life, experience therapist as a trainer, speaker, published author. You've done a whole range of different modalities like NLP, EFT, even a master practitioner there, and a range of other things. I'm sure we'll hear more from you directly on that, Jen. And we really want to hear from you what your take, your direction, and your instructions are for all of us, why breathing and the breath is so important. I think it is completely underestimated. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, if you wish, some more details that we may need to know that I haven't perhaps mentioned, and share what is behind this breathing. Why is it so important?
Yes, the underestimated version is definitely the key to all of this, because we're all breathing. You are, aren't you? We have got the right audience. You are breathing. So the question is, are you breathing well? Now, I grew up with terrible asthma, some trauma issues, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And I ended up for years wheezing, panicking, and struggling with everything I did. Literally, despite the medication, despite the care of my doctors, I was a mess. And in my 30s, I discovered, after trying lots of little things that just hadn't made a difference, that when you breathed correctly, most of that stuff just went away. And I always thought I had asthma, so I had bad breathing. Nah, I had bad breathing, so I had asthma. There you go. One of those weird things. It doesn't mean lots of triggers can't happen, but at a practical level, it turned out that how you breathe impacts literally every aspect of your life. Your energy levels, big thing. Your immune system response, the state of your mind. I don't know, as a lot of the people here are writers, you probably know about busy brain and how it gets in the way of just pouring out what you want to share with the world. And breathing correctly has a massive impact on it. And it gives you more flexibility, range of movement, and freedom to do what you want and what you're passionate about. When you do it as a habit, I don't want you to sort of think I have to spend the rest of my life going breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. We don't have time. The idea is create good habits and then just get on with everything else.
Now, I have a question on that one, Jen. Creating good habits. Now, years ago, I got into yoga, and yoga has a part about breathing and deep breath and a whole range of different types of breath, the nose, the different types, the deep breathing. And at the time, I thought, yes, this is great. I will do that. And I got out of it. So it didn't become a habit.
No, it's normal with yoga. Yoga is something that people do in a class situation for a particular set of exercises. But when they walk out the door, they're doing something else. It's a trigger response thing. So when they walk back into the yoga room, they're immediately connected to their breath and they're back to good breathing. But if you don't do it every week or whatever, it gets out of the way. So the stuff I teach is optimal breathing for life. So I teach people how to get out of a chair, how to walk up a flight of stairs, how to just be relaxed at any point and adjust your breathing, because you don't want to be breathing like you're sitting in a chair when you're running, and you really don't want to be breathing like you're running if you're just sitting in a chair, because that basically adds up to hyperventilation. Who's blown up too many balloons? I think we all have at some point. And what happens? You get dizzy, you could go blue around the mouth, you could even fall over. It's not healthy. But so many people, because of stress and any source of stress, whether that's physical, mental, emotional, habit, if you breathe like that all the time, that's kind of the main problem. Because what does anybody do when they get a fright? Think about a cigarette and all this. If you have a fright, you go, you lock off the diaphragm, your shoulders go north, you breathe in and you hold. And yet people say, I'll take a deep breath. And they go, actually, that's just part of the fight or flight thing. No.
Is that, I'm really curious, is that what everybody does, Jen? I thought that was only me.
No, darling, it's all of us.
Wow.
That's the physical response. That's part of the cortisol, adrenaline response of shock. It's a shock response.
Wow.
We just stop. And if you only do it for a couple of breaths, it's fine if you come back to good breathing. But if for any reason, bit by bit, you breathe a bit more like that as a habit, and in modern life, in the stressed world and so on, it's sadly common. So if you're breathing shallow, then you're not getting air to the bottom of the lungs, which is where the air does its best exchange. And if you're not breathing from here, because here comes the practical bit, people. So if you breathe into the tummy, expand here and contract softly as you breathe out, you're just making room for the next breath, right? So you breathe in, the diaphragm drops, the air comes to the bottom of the lungs, then you breathe out and it pushes it out. So you don't have to do anything with the shoulders. It's none of this. You don't need to do that. And it does multiple things. Besides getting the air in right, you get better digestion because you're massaging your belly. And something that's only a recent recognition by the medical profession is a thing called the vagus nerve, which is a big part of our, I call it the parasympathetic, the relaxation part of the system. And if you are breathing here, you're massaging that and calming down. Because one of the things that happens when we're tense is that we use way too much energy because the muscles are overworking. They shorten up, they tense up. You get a bit like this. That's an exaggeration, I realize, but some days it feels like that. But if you're breathing low and slow and through the nose, because that filters the air and does all sorts of important things, in and out, by the way, folks. When you do that, you're turning off fight or flight. You're bringing your body back to a state of functional calm, which means you've got more energy to do whatever you want because you're not wasting it on tension.
Wow.
Oxygen uptake and a bunch of other great practical stuff. So yeah.
Yes. So it's a complete way of working with your body. It's not like, you're just wiggling your fingers or exercising your whatever shoulders. It really is affecting the entire body, and that is what bringing that energy to your whole life, really, and creates that focus as well. And you said earlier, for people who write, they want to be focused, but they also want to be alert and in their sort of inner space to some extent, don't they?
Absolutely. And just slowing the breathing cycle down. Now, we may not have time to do this now, but if you go away, folks, and just count the number of breaths you take per minute, the in and the out cycle, you really only want it to be at rest 8 to 10 breaths. But so many people in the modern world are like this, even sitting down, and it could be 20 to 30 times. And that means you're working too hard. It really does. But here's the next level. If you're breathing into this space low and slow, we can do one more very gentle, simple thing. Remember I said the in-breath, the shock in-breath is like this. That's the far end of the breath cycle. But at the other end of the breath cycle, there's something very special waiting for us, and it's peace. So if instead of breathing in and holding, if you breathe out slowly, preferably using the tummy muscles, you just breathe out slowly and rest the breath a moment. Have a little go at that, Sigrid. I mean, you've done some yoga, so some of that will be familiar, but breathe out slowly, rest the breath just a moment. And who can feel the calm, the peace, the quiet mind? People say, I can't meditate because my brain goes, or I can't think because this just turns that off and gives you a window into choosing what you want to focus on. Gives you that peace. If you ask a question, what should I be writing about today? Or what do I need to think about? Or what's missing? You know, I have days when I just think I'm missing something. There's a gap in what I'm paying attention to. If I ask that question as I breathe out and just wait in the pause, it's astonishing how often a useful answer shows up. And it might not be words. It might be an image. It might be a memory. Or it might just be a pretty picture, and that makes you feel connected to something. You know, everybody's got their own way of doing this stuff, but we are all the same biochemical, biomechanical function. And the basics are breathe low, breathe slow, breathe through the nose, and a pause after you breathe out gives you mental space and peace. There's no downside to that. And then if you do yoga classes, or you do, you know, there's hundreds of other options.
Yeah,
Space that you can trust and be healthy. Now, I had asthma, and I said I struggled to breathe literally every breath for years. And when I came back to this, and my body just settled down and stopped wheezing and pretty well stopped panicking, it was impressive, then I was able to do other things and have a play with other things that I literally couldn't do because my body stopped and my brain stopped. So, is this all making sense at this point?
It is absolutely, it's absolutely making sense. It's putting a lot of things in place that I have heard and perhaps even practiced. Like I said, the yoga is one of them. And even to calm down and to be having a more alert mind, to be able to remember things easier, goes for me way back to really early days after school, those years when I really wanted to succeed, to be focused and to be able to retain things. I've found that difficult at times. And I do know breathing makes a huge difference, but it also is something that slips away, that I forget. And I'm sure other people have that too.
I think so. Usually it takes, with the program that I offer, which combines multiple things that I have learned that worked for me over the years, that are clinically proven, by the way, a couple of weeks of regular practice, and the body changes the rhythm of the breath, and then that maintains that. And you've got a little awareness option to go, well, if I've gone back into that mode, I'll change it. But it's easy because you've actually got a skill that you can use. So,
right.
You know, so for example, I teach people, as I said, how to walk up a flight of stairs, or how to just pick something up. Now, here's the classic. If we've got 2 minutes, we can do this. What's the heaviest thing everybody lifts every day? And I mean everybody. Unless you are a mega weightlifter, it's our own body. So standing up is the classic thing. The doorbell goes, we hear our kids, the dogs drop something. We just heave ourselves out and we just go. We don't think about it. And the response to that is like the shock response. It's breathe in and go. But it's breathe in and tense up and go.
Yes.
Right? So if you could turn that around, and I strongly recommend you have a play with this, folks, if you breathe out and stand up in the pause and then breathe in. So watch the difference. If I just stand up the way I used to, which is jeans below. So you could see there was a pull, push, and I went shallow. But if you do it in the pause, you breathe out in the tummy. Look at the difference. Effortless. The muscles are in flow, the movement's fluid, and I don't turn into a pretzel on the way up, because people do. They really do. Thousands of them. It's always, they breathe in, they hold, and when they stand up, they sort of go, they rearrange themselves, and they'll tell me why. They'll give me lots of reasons, because they've got pain, because they've got problems, because they've
Yeah.
But they don't realize that, in fact, by relaxing on the way up, the muscles let go the tension and they align correctly. So you've got better posture, right? Big thing, especially if you spend all day at a desk.
Yes,
Really
yes.
to be able to just have good posture, low belly breathing, and it keeps you relaxed, and it's good for your lower back as well. And it takes away that muscle tension in your shoulders, which so many of us build up because of the way we work. Look,
yeah, go on.
I'll just one of the classes, because I teach therapists and have done for a long time. And one of these ladies, she took this one thing. She was an experienced therapist, but this was the one thing she really took away, was the stand up and the pause thing. And she took it to her 88-year-old dad, who used to be in massive pain, and he'd push and pull and struggle his way out of the chair. She taught him that. The first time he tried it, he stood up without having to hang on to anything. And he looked at her and said, "It's magic," because he had no pain. And I've seen that many times. Anyway, shutting up.
That's that's incredible. Actually, that leads us into my next or my question around, who do you work with mostly? I know you have a range of modalities, a range of ways, and your programming incorporates different ways as well. But do you have a predominant type of clientele?
2 or 3 core ones. People with things that are specifically breath related, like asthma and so forth. That's an obvious one, or panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
These days I work more with people with long COVID. It's the NHS, the English system does tell you to breathe correctly. They just don't have time to teach it. So chronic illnesses, there's a classic. But people who are highly focused business people, I work with a lot of self-employed folk, because that's what I've been for 40 odd years. But I also do corporate training, and I work with hospitals and so on to train staff. So it's people with very intense focus required for their work. And they need to be in basically a calm flow state so they can access information, see the patterns of what's going on, and make good decisions.
That's it. It's that focus, isn't it, that comes back when you have the right breathing happening.
It makes a huge difference. It's soothing and calming, and the focus. There's a difference between over-focused and tension focused.
Yes.
And being present to what you're doing, that's powerful. That's really and empowering. I love that.
Yes, absolutely. Is there or are there some misconceptions people have when they come to work with you, that they have a certain idea of what's going to happen and what you're going to do that actually isn't the case? Do they have sort of ideas of? Is it?
If they've been with another therapist, they always they have some odd ideas about what I do, because everybody's got their own journey, and that's but they think it's going to be hard. They don't think they're going to laugh and have fun, because I will have clients who come in with trauma and they leave laughing, happy, genuinely happy. Because there are, besides the breathwork, yes, there's a lot of other things. But, at a practical level, it is that it's going to be a challenge, because they've had a lifetime of a problem, or a lifetime of a habit. And because I make small changes, I start where people are, rather than saying, well, this is what good breathing looks like, you should try that. And they're so far from it, they struggle. In the early days, that's how I was taught, because I went from literally, I think I'm going to die tonight, to off my meds in just weeks because of breathing. But I struggled all the time because I was fighting my habits. Whereas I go, how can we make this easy? How can we find the comfort in this? How can we get you to enjoy it more? And people go, oh, I didn't realize I could do that. I always thought I struggled with that. And I go, like the difference between, I was doing this actually with an exercise program online with my husband the other day, and they were going, oh, and I was thinking, God, that's hard. I'm doing this and it's hard, and these are only light weights. And then I realized I wasn't doing my breathing right. And I did it, and I was able to go, da, 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 da. Yeah, easy peasy.
So
because
that's
I was breathing correctly. Because the tension was there. People assume that tension is there for a good reason.
Yes. I think that's probably a big misconception as well, that you have to feel the strain and that there has to be strain, while in actual fact it has to do with your breathing, is what I'm getting from you shared.
Amongst other things, yes.
Yeah.
The idea, the fact that you have the ability to choose and it's comfortable, that's a shock for a lot of people, because they genuinely, I used to fight my own body, fight my own mind. Yeah. So and the language we use in our own heads sort of says, well, I can't do this because. That's a classic.
Yeah, that's our mind, isn't it? That gets into the way there. So what I'm hearing is, or what I heard before was that you have kind of like two sort of areas as such, where you have people with chronic things happening in their life, where they really need that breathing, and they probably more so seek you out actively, while there's also that part or that group of people that might be just exploring different things, and they are not really necessarily realizing that it is related to breathing, that it actually is there, not deep enough breathing, or just stop and start type, or whatever it is, isn't it? So there's sort of like two categories as such.
Because I also teach therapists, but
yes, okay.
But it is people who are exploring ways to empower themselves. I mean, I work with athletes. I work with singers. I work with speakers. People who sort of understand breathing but don't realize there's more room for it. And I work with people who are simply wanting to feel empowered to do the best they can with whatever work they're passionate about.
Absolutely brilliant. Yeah, that's absolutely brilliant. So when we talked about this, I think another time as well, and you've shared this, and we can put the link into the comments afterwards. You also have, talking about writing before, and writers, and writing a book. Now you've got a couple of publications. One in particular you mentioned to me, around love and affirmations, isn't it? In particular, that's the one. Yep, you showed me that one, and that's a beautiful book with gorgeous images in there.
Thank you. My photography too.
All right, there you go. So multi-talented. Now, who would you recommend that to, particularly if they are looking to get into a breathing habit through having affirmations, perhaps, to get started?
That's interesting. I just give it to everybody, because most people think that affirmations are, I am happy, I am healthy, I am wealthy. And if you're saying it because you're not, then you know it's not true. Whereas if you say, well, let me read the breathing affirmations, let's run with that. That would simplify life, wouldn't it? Be relevant. Okay. So instead of I am breathing well, which you may or may not be doing, what if you say I love breathing well? Because love connects us to what matters. And instead of the present tense, you're talking the eternal now. It'll be a true statement whether you're breathing well or not. I love breathing well. I do. Even on a bad day, and I'm not. I love breathing well. I do actually breathe well most of the time now. I love feeling my airways being comfortably open as air easily flows through. I love being comfortable. I love using my breath to speak, laugh, and sing joyfully. I love relaxing as I breathe more slowly and silently. I love breathing the right amount of air for my body's needs. That's, again, don't breathe sitting in a chair as if you're running, please, because hyperventilation is the problem. I love feeling the strength that comes from using my stomach muscles to breathe. And there is a core, literally a core strength there. But it's not a tension, folks. It's core strength. I love breathing easily, however active I am. I love creating energy and stamina with slow, even breathing. I love noticing the calm that comes from pausing for a moment after I breathe out. I love breathing with awareness. And then we come back to the opening statement. I love breathing well. So
that is absolutely, that is fantastic. No, that is absolutely fantastic. Now we'll put the link into the comments for people to have a look at that. So it is really fully and utterly connected to what you're doing, even though when I just read the title of it and had a quick squeeze on Amazon at it, it didn't really fully hit me what the book is about and what it is doing. So
I need your expertise.
It can be hidden a bit, can't it, sometimes? What I would be interested now on the book side of things, just briefly, is how did you come about wanting to write that? What was there a trigger? Was there something that popped into your mind? Yes, this is why I'm going to do it. Or was it just something that came about slowly, Jen, for people who are thinking about writing and they sort of haven't got that trigger yet? What got you there to?
Oh, because I've written 5 books and I won an Inventors Award for books and games I've created. So
yes.
I like, if I have an idea and I wanted to share it with a lot of people, writing is my first.
So sharing, wonderful. So sharing is a really big part of the consideration.
Absolutely. For me, it's powerful. And some of the things I do, I feel like I just take dictation. I don't even, I just go into a flow mode and it arrives.
Yeah.
Kind of literally. It's almost like I hear a voice and I just type out. But like taking dictation, it's a bit weird. But the affirmations book was, I just had that first awareness of the I am stuff just did not work for me, because I felt, again, I was back to fighting myself and lying to myself, which I do not like. I do not like that. And the I love was when I felt the connection, because I'm a healer and a therapist and so on. So love empowers us and connects us. And it just started to flow one day. And I just had a few simple affirmations. And now I've got them on the topics. They're energy, confidence, income, self-expression. There's one. Release, having fun. I do like that picture with the office.
Yeah, that's great. So that's absolutely brilliant. So that is on the book side of things. It's a really powerful way to incorporate bringing your message and your way of doing and helping people out there by using a book to putting that detail into it. But I also love, of course, all the details you've shared with us. And we've already spent a half an hour on this. We could keep going for another one because there's so much to it. You can certainly contact Jen directly by connecting with her on Facebook. We'll put a couple of links in. I'll say a quick hello to everybody who's watching right now. I'm in this Zoom room and it's not always that easy to see everybody, but hello, really great that you are here, and look out for the links we're putting in there. Jen, I thank you for making the time to be here and sharing that detail that you have with us. What are your parting words for now before we sign off for right today?
Breathe with ease.
Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. Thank you to everyone who's been here, and we'll see you again.
Thank you. Bye.